Hi dear viewers, welcome to our class. Today I am going to explain you our English examination pattern, formative assessment, full details I am just going to give you. So you know me very well. I am Saidulu sir, English. Okay, let us go and see what are the things which we have to discuss. Guidelines for formative assessment. It is not our what we can say our guidelines. It is the guidelines of our state. What is that? State examination board. Not only DCB Kamam, DCB Suryapeta. Not only like that, but also it is the what is that? Yes, our Telangana textbook writers has given a format for assessment, formative assessment. Actually, in a year, 4 formative exams and 2 summative exams should have been conducted. But for this pandemic situation, we don't know how many exams are going to be conducted. So maybe in this year, in this pandemic situation in 2020, in December we may have formative assessment. The question papers will come from maybe from DCEBs of all the districts. Exactly, it is not known to all, but there was a talk from all the experts. There is in December second week we are going to have exam. So before that, let me explain you what is a formative assessment, how it has to be written. When I was visiting some private schools, they are not following this type of rules at all. All private schools, all government schools, everyone, not only this year, not only last year, every year they have to follow this format. Please try to understand this format so that you can easily conduct the formative exam. Even a child, even a 10th class or 8th class, 6th class, 7th class children may know very clearly how a English formative exam is going to be conducted. Okay, first of all, formative assessment is done based on 4 tools. There are 4 tools that cover all the language competencies. That is, they are called academic standards. All the academic standards are going to be covered. The first point is read and reflect. The second point is written work. The third one is project work. Fourth one is slip test. All these 4 things are mandatory, 100% necessary for conducting formative assessment. Okay. Teacher has to assess the performance of the learners for each term. Each one, reading reflect, okay, read and reflect, written works, project works, slip test. Everywhere the student has to be assessed. The student has to be tested. 20 marks allotted for total formative test. But you look at this one, 10, 10, 10, 20. Totally 50 marks are there. But actually each one has to be consolidated to 5 marks. Okay, I will explain you clearly. Which is formative test, which is consolidated into 5 marks for each tool. Every tool only for 5 marks, but exam should be conducted for 10 marks. Okay. This is not single day activity. It is a cumulative account of what has happened in day-to-day classroom transaction. It doesn't take place in one day. It has to be written for whole year. Whole year activities should be mingled up in the examination process. Okay, now let us go and see the next paragraph. Look at this one. Here is a paragraph. Criteria for awarding marks under each tool. Under each tool, how the marks are going to be awarded is given here. Read and reflect. 10 marks consolidated for 5 marks. You want to see that line? Look at this one. 10 marks consolidated for 5 marks. Okay. Now, each tool I am just going to explain. The tool number 1, read and reflect. The child has to read one reading text other than the textbook. My dear friends, it is not from the textbook. No teacher has to test the student's capacity on the basis of your classroom transaction. It is a classroom transaction activity, but you have to use our textbook as a model. But here, this testing, read and reflect testing has to be out. What should be tested? Yes, look at this one. The child has to read one reading text other than the textbook, such as story, news report, article, like this. Story, news report, article. Even in Telugu, we see book review like that. Even in Telugu, book review, pustaka samiksha. Even you can like that. You can write like that. Children have to read, comprehend, and express their opinion in oral and written. It has to be done orally, and also it has to be written in the written form also. So for every teacher, for every school, there should be a record for this read and reflect. What is that record? Yes, you are right. A notebook or a record, which is for a science record, something like that. Read and reflect. Most people take story writing. Some people will take a paragraph. Some people will take a news report. Some people will take a news article. What to write? How to reflect? My dear teachers and my dear students, this is very important one. Reflections. Reflections. Look at the word reflections. I will take a pencil from here. So reflections. Reflections. What are the reflections? Reflections. My reflections, personal reflections has to be written. When you are writing reflection, you can use these words: likes, dislikes, my opinion. How is it? When the child is writing an article, he can write likes, whatever the student likes, he can just put 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 points like that. 1 to 5 points he can write, he likes. Likes, then dislikes, what he did not like, and his own opinion on the article, on the book, on the news report, on so and so. There it is possible. You see, it has to be comprehended. It has to be read and comprehended, so that you can even give some questions for this one also. But what are the questions? Reflection questions, or you can ask them questions for comprehension. Okay, let us go for next article. Written works. Written works. Writing works. 10 marks but consolidated to 5 marks. This is with regard to exercises given in the textbook. My dear friends, once again remember, the first one is, what is that? Read and reflect is out of the text. But this writing works, all the written works are from the textbook. Exercises given in the textbook, discourses assigned to individuals during classroom transactions have to be written in the notebook. Answer to a few extrapolating questions, some big questions or some short questions, some extrapolating questions. Okay. Oh, all these things have to be written in the textbook only. Remember these 3 points. What are those 3 points? Exercises given in the textbook. Yes. Discourses. What are the discourses? You know, major and minor discourses, which you may assign in the classroom. The student has to write. But they should be text based, textbook based, classroom based. Sometimes you may not ask from the textbook. You may ask externally from your classroom transaction. You may discuss something related to COVID-19. Then you may ask the student to prepare a poster. Let him write. You may award some marks for this one. Answer to extrapolating questions. The facilitator has to go through the written works and award marks based on the children's performance in view of the presentation of their own thoughts with the well-formed sentences. Here, well-formed sentences are taken into criteria, not only the context, along with the contextually relevant sentences, but also sentence formation has to be taken criteria. Before going to discuss all these things, you will be doing editing while you are teaching in the classroom. So this is a written work which a child has to present for FA1, FA2, FA3 as well as FA4. The child has to maintain 2 notebooks. The first one is meant for read and reflect, project work and slip test. The second one is exclusive for written works. So this is what we can do. But some teachers are following their own rules. What are they? Taking some important topics and they are just putting all these things, telling the students to write down in the record itself, buying some wonderful records like science records, and maintaining 2 or 3 works which they wrote, and they are dumping everything into this one, and they are just awarding the marks in the same one. So that is up to you, okay, but this is the criteria you have to follow, okay. Okay, my dear friends, let us see next project work. Projects are also for 10 marks, and these are also consolidated to 5 marks. The oral and written performance of the reader, the performance of the students has to be taken as children which cover all the academic standards. All the academic standards have to be covered. The oral and written performance of the children which cover all the academic standards, learning outcomes should be considered while awarding marks in various stages. For example, for a project, you have given a project. In the planning, in the project, there should be these points: planning, execution, analysis, yes, next one, interpretation of data, report writing, okay, and presentation with the feedback. So all these are very mandatory, because this project way of teaching is very important. When they go to a degree, PG, something like graduation, post graduation, MBA, MCA, there they are facing so many problems. What are the projects, how to write, and all these things. If you inculcate the habit of planning, executing, analysis, interpretation of data, report writing, presentation with the feedback, at least four projects in the year with a perfect guidelines, you, my dear teachers, you first read about the projects, how to do projects, how to plan for projects, how to execute those plans, analysis. My dear friends, you may ask, what sir, children they can't do. They can't. That is quite natural. They can when you can guide. My dear children, you can do all these things. You just go and search in your cell phone projects planning. Take a project, ask for the planning, then ask for the execution, then ask for the analysis. You may search in Telugu also. You may search in your mother tongue also. There you will get wonderful results for these projects also. You can do. You do with all your might, all your power, just 1 or 2 projects, then automatically you will be very much interested to do more and more projects. Okay. Okay. Now let us go to next topic, that is a slip test. Somebody will say sleep test. No, sorry. That is a slip test. Slip test. What is a slip test? Slip test is also conducted for 20 marks, and it has to be consolidated to 5 marks. This test should be conducted without giving any notice to children. It is a abrupt test, sudden test. My dear children, tomorrow we are going to have a slip test, and so these are the things I am going to ask. This is not necessary. What is necessary? It has to be tested all of a sudden, suddenly. This test should cover the targeted discourses by taking 2 or 3 targeted discourses in each formative assessment. Look at this one. By taking 2 or 3 targeted discourses. Discourses, we will discuss about these discourses like major discourses, minor discourses. Major discourses are nothing but, choreography, script, letter writing, and so on, narrative, story writing, okay, drama, script, all these things are there, report writing, all these things are there, interview, conversation, okay, by writing biographies, all these things are, what are they? Major discourses. Minor discourses are also there, diary entry, invitation, notice, message writing, poster making, okay, all these things are there. So we will discuss about in which paper what we are going to discuss, all these things I will tell you. This practice will help children in attempting the written discourses in summative test successfully, even final examinations. The teacher may conduct the slip test for 20 marks so as to cover more number of questions. Finally, it has to be reduced to 5 marks. Teachers' unit cum period plan should reflect children's oral performance. Okay, so this is for the teachers. Now let us go to next page. Slip test. What is there in the slip test? So many teachers asked me what should be there in the slip test. In the slip test, Actually, my friends and I, we all sat there and discussed about how to conduct the slip test. Finally, we came to these three things: reading comprehension for 5 marks, grammar and vocabulary for 5 marks, creative writing for 10 marks. Creative writing for 10 marks, reading comprehension for 5 marks, grammar and vocabulary for 5 marks. For example, you are taking this one, creative writing. If you want to inculcate two minor discourses, that is for 10 marks. If you take one major discourse, that could be enough. Yes or no? Yes. You give, sometimes we are just printing the paper and giving the children. Some teachers are writing on the board. Some teachers are orally telling and asking them to write. So whatever the system you follow, this is the correct procedure, I think, to conduct the slip test. Let us see next one. Okay. Details of the major and minor discourses included in the formative assessment or summative assessment under the domain of creative expressions. Group A. Group A is nothing but paper 1. Group B is nothing but paper 2. Okay, do you understand? Paper 1, paper 2. Paper 1 is completely, what? Paper 1 is completely based on text dependent. Paper 2 is completely dependent on, yes, text independent, not from the text. It is out of the text. So there you can see, yes, story, narrative, conversation, description, drama script. This is for 10 marks. In the final examination, you can take one of these, whatever it may be, for even formative exam, but not even formative exam. All these things have to be compulsory, mandatorily they have to be inculcated in the formative examination. Okay, message, notice, diary entry. So if you take these two, so don't repeat again in the formative 2 again. Take diary entry, notice, then you take invitation profile and take one of the major discourses and take these major discourses for some other time. But what you have to do is, this is very crucial thing. So if you go to 9th class or 10th class textbook, at the last page you will see this one. Okay, my dear friends, in paper 1, story, conversation, description, drama script, whatever you want you can take. In group B, paper 2, biography, essay, letter writing, report, news report, interview, speech script or choreography script you can take. So all these things can be tested. What is that? Mandatorily one of the tools have to be taken. One of the things should be taken for every formative examination. Okay, now let us go to next page. Look at this one. What is a summative examination? Summative is nothing but, it is like a term exam, term 1, term 2, like that. Summative, total examination. There will be a summative assessment after every term. The test is for 100 marks. Out of these, 20 marks are allotted for formative assessment and 80 marks are allotted for written test. The average marks of the formative 1 and 2 should be added to first summative. Okay, do you understand this one? Okay, now let us go to the average marks of 4 formative tests should be added to final summative 2 public exam. As for CCE is a school-based assessment. Every school should prepare their own question papers for summative assessment. There are 2 papers, paper 1 and paper 2, for 10th and 9th classes in summative exams. 1 and 2, each paper carries 40 marks. The following are domains for assessment for both papers. Reading comprehension takes 15 marks in paper 1. Vocabulary and grammar 10 marks in paper 1. Creative expressions for 15 marks. Creative expressions are nothing but discourses. You know already, we have discussed. Shall we see again what are the discourses we can see? Look at these discourses. This is for paper 1 and this is for paper 2. Group A, total group A things are for paper 1. Group B things are for paper 2. Okay, now let us go again to our page. See this one. Reading comprehension, vocabulary and grammar, creative expressions will play vital role in creating 40 marks. Even for paper Paper 2 also, this is the format, but they are from the text independent, not from our textbook. They are out of the textbook. Let us see what is there in the text. Test items under paper 1 are based on the textbook. Paper 2 are based on the text independent. This is the way our examination is going to be conducted. My dear students, my dear friends, my dear teachers, please remember this pattern of formative conducting. So whenever you are conducting a formative exam, don't forget only slip test. No, only slip test is not allowed. Total things have to be reflected. Read and reflect has to be written. Written works have to be written. Projects have to be taken up, and slip test has to be taken up. Only if you take these four things, then only the formative assessment is over. The formative assessment is finished, complete. Unless and until you mingle up all these four things, the formative assessment is not complete. Okay. Thank you for attending my class. Thank you for listening to my video, and please share, and please do not forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you very much.